Hello and welcome back everyone. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we are playing Fog and Boxes. You can see there in the scene like a classic, criminal hive of activity where there's a dock of some sort, a whole bunch of containers ready to be loaded, a little bit of fog and mist sort of kind of covering everything a little bit, making it hard to see. And you're probably wondering, where is Sleuth? He's nowhere to be seen in the picture. But maybe he's just a bit too smart to be caught out in the open in this sort of classic crime scene. Instead, just maybe he's the person behind the camera taking a photo of the scene, waiting to be able to catch whatever criminal activity is going on. Well, it's enough of that. Let's take a look at the puzzle that we have in store for today. So, this is a favorite rule set, I think, of many of the regular viewers, which is all about fog. Not surprisingly, given the title and the thumbnail. But we've got the following set of rules, which are going to be very difficult to demonstrate and explain, given, pretty much the entire grid except for one box here is covered. We'll give it a go anyway. So, rule sets are normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means the digits 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and in every 3x3 box. You can see all of the 3x3 boxes in these darker lines. We also have digits in a cage must not repeat and must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. Now, thankfully, I'm not going to have to draw a cage because you can just about see, peeking through the fog, essentially the outline of a cage. You've got this dashed line kind of implying that the cage continues this way and again continuing that way. So essentially, these three cells need to be summing up to a value, which is 7, and that's given in the top left corner in this. I'm not going to place any digits, and I think given it's going to be very obvious if I start to place some digits, I'm hoping that's enough information for you to understand the rule set if you've not seen them before. We've also got cells separated by an X must sum to 10. So if I draw one here, for example, let's say imagine that's an X joining these two cells must sum up to 10. So one example could be if I had a 1 in here, this would need to be 9 for these two cells to add up to 10. Okay, now I'm going to continue to exhaust my ability to draw some of these things. So imagine that this is not an X anymore, but a V. I was hoping I can actually get like some sort of circle or something, but imagine that's not an X. Your eyes are deceiving you. That's a V. And we continue with our one example, then this would have to be a 4 because these two cells would need to add up to 5. These two, not these three. It does say, though, that there are no negative constraints. So, for example, these two cells don't have an X between them. Nothing stops me, for example, from having 7 and 3 and these two cells adding up to a 10. Right, is that all the rule sets? Yep. So my drawing skills are not going to be tested further today because the only remaining rule is additionally the grid is partially covered in fog. Placing correct digits will clear the fog from the surrounding cells, possibly revealing more clues, and no guessing is necessary. So for example, if as part of our solve we determine that this is a 1, once we successfully place that digit, essentially we'll uncover all the fog that is around it. Think of it almost as acting as a bit of a light beacon, shining through the fog and hopefully revealing some more clues for us to actually gobble up and continue to solve this puzzle. So, if you're not put off with that port scene, with that, classic criminal activity location, link will be in the description down below for you to play along as usual. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Okay, so a 7 cage in 3 cells can ever only be made from 1, 2, and 4. If you try any other digits, you're not going to get to 7. We know that these two have to add up to a 5. Therefore, we've got 1 and 4. That's the 5. Remember, cages have to be unique. That leaves the 2 in here. And that continues with our reveal. We've got a 5 in here. If you think about 5 cages, you don't necessarily know that this is 2 cells or 3 cells, but if you try and actually have a 3-cell 5 cage, you're going to struggle, because the minimum that would be is 1, 2, and 3, and that will add up to 6. So although you don't necessarily know from the fog that this is a 2-cell cage. Trust me, it is a 2-cell cage. Now, a 5 and 2 cells can be made up in 2 ways, 1 and 4, or 2 and 3. You can see 1 and 4 is not available. 2 and 3 would work, but the 2 is not available in box 1. This has to be a 3, this has to be a 2, and we can continue. We have... So if you have a think around 9 cages now, now that the 2 we know is not available, and we can see that this whole cage is visible in here, there's nothing that's, heading off into the distance. This is a 3-cell cage that adds up to 9. Now, if I don't use up the digit 1, and the digit 2 is not available, the next 3 smallest cells, smallest digits, is 3, 4, and 5, and they add up to 12. So that clearly is not going to work. I must use a 1. And now I need to make up an 8, as in the remainder of that 9 in 2 digits. Now, 1, 8 is not available because I've already used the 1 in the cage. 2, 6 is not available because 2 is used in the box. 3, 5 is the last remaining option, and I can't place a 5 in here, nor a 3. 5 because I can see that there's an X there. If you put a 5 in here, I'm going to demonstrate because I know that's incorrect. I'll need to have a second 5 adjacent and obviously breaking the Sudoku rules. So that's not 5. That's also not 3. We've got it in the column. That's a 1. That's a 9 to make up a 10. These are not 1 anymore. Got 1 staring up here. That's a 4. That's a 1. I know either of these. I know that this is not a 5. You can see the faint outline of a V here. So if that's a 5, that would be a 0. And Sudoku rule says prohibit that. It can only be 1 to 9. So that's the 3. That's a 2 to add up to 5. That's the 5. I know that this is from 1 and 4. I mean, I can do something probably with the 30 cage and the X, but I just spotted this 15 cage in the bottom left in box 7. And you can see again with the outline in here that this is a 5-cell cage, which I'm going to highlight for you here. Now, the interesting thing is about 15 in a 5-cell cage is that is the absolute minimum that you can add up to. You can add 5 separate digits to in Sudoku. Because essentially, if you use the minimum, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you add them all up, we're already at 15. Now, given I know the composition of this, if I take a look at this cell in particular, I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the 5. What I have remaining is 6, 7, and 8. And in here, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm not sure I want to pencil mark this. I'm thinking the 15 cage is known, actually. Because you can absolutely have a 15 cage with, 3 cells. There's nothing wrong with that. But whichever way I go, it's 6, 7. I can head here. That would be 13 and I need a 2. But the 2 is not available because it's already in the 15. Even if I do 6, 8, and that would be a 1, 1 is not available because it's in the 15 cage. So this is on its own a 2-cell cage that adds up to 15. That's 7 and 8 because the 9 is not available. That's the 6. 5 is in here. 7, 8 is there. 7, 8. So this is either 1, 9 or 4, 6, both of which seem workable at this point. Right, maybe I do need this X to move a bit further. Well, I mean, I know that this is 6 and 9. And therefore, this is 6, 9. This is 1, 4. But I need something, probably this cell, to disambiguate, I imagine. Unless I'm missing kind of obvious Sudoku. Usually the case, such as these 2 allow me to place the 2. Can't put it in here because that would require an 8, but I've already used it. So that's a 2. There's a 3 in here with the other 1, 4. That's a 1. Therefore, that's a 3, 4. And that's the 1. that's the 9, that's the 1, that's the 9. And therefore that's the 6. And surely I can do this now. So, options. If this is low, this would be 3. Now it'll be 7. I say low because 10 is always made up of a low digit, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a high digit, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So you can see between the 1, 4, and the 2 in box 5, if that was low, there's only 3 available. Now, if this was the high digit and this is the low digit, well, 1, 2, and 3 are already taken up in box 4. So this is a 6 and a 4, which is not available. 1, 4 is gone. Sorry, not 6, excuse me. 4 and a 6, that is available. Okay. Do I have anything kind of revealing what I'm meant to be doing? 3, 4, 6 tells me I need 7, 8, and 9 in here. 9 tells me that's the 9. That's the 7, 8. That can't be a 7 anymore. That's the 4. That's the 6. I need to finish the box in here with a 6. I know, well, this is now the 30 cage fully revealed. I've got a 10, another 8, that's 18. There's 12 remaining between these two cells, and it's not 3, 9. 9 is not available. Could be 4, 8. Not 4 in here because of the 1, 4 pair. So it could be 4, 8. Or it could be 5, 7. And this 5 tells us the order. That would be the 5. That would be the 7. But we don't have enough information to reveal that just yet. Let's continue. What else do we know? We've got 5, 7, and 8 in here. I think these are the only remaining clues we need to think about. So I'm going to think probably about... So the 10 cage, I don't know if it's 2 cells. I don't know if it's 3 cells. And in fact, nothing in the rule set says the 3 cells can't occupy the same space as the X. So I think I want to focus on here first. So this is not 1, 9, obviously. It can be 2, 8. I'm sorry, I'm being thick. I've got a 1 staring at a 1, 4. That's a 4. That's a 1. That's much more helpful. I've got 1, 2, and 4. This is a 3, 7 pair. The 3 gives me the order. That's the 7. That's, excuse me, that's the 3. That's the 7. 3 cells that add up. Could be more than 3, though. Yeah. I'm not going to assume it's 3 cells. It looks like 3, but I'm not sure it is. 9, it's not in here. It's in there. That's another 5, 8. Got 3 cells in here. Sorry, 3 remaining digits. It's 6, 8, and 9. Okay. Right. 13 cage. If that's anything I know that would help me disambiguate any of this. So if that's an 8, I'd need a 5 in here. And because of the 2, that would be 1, 4. And because of the 1, that would be the direction. So that would force 1, 4, 7, 5, 8. That all looks very helpful. In fact, the 5, 8 gives me the 7 here and the 8. And therefore, I know what these are. That's 1, 5, 7. And I know what these are. This is 2, 3, 4. Right, the other option is this is a 5, and I need to get to 8 in here. Now, 8 could be 1, 7, and again, that would put a 1 in here and a 7 there. Can't be 2, 6, and it can't be 3, 5. So in any scenario, this is a 1. That's not a 1. 4, 7 pair tells me that 4 is no longer available. Neither is the 3, because I've got the 7, I've used it. And I've got a 4, 7 pair looking in here. That's a 3, that's a 4. That can now only be 2, 8. And now I'm left with 3, 5, and 6. I can see the 3 and the 3 removes these 2 as options, so that's the 3. Yeah, that's a 3-cell 10 cage now. I say it's 3 cells because I'm absolutely confident of that now, because 1 is not available. I've used it in the row, in the boxes that the 10 is heading into. So this is without a 1, and without a 1 there is only one way of doing it, getting to a 10, which is 2, 3, 5. That's not the 2 because we've got a 2, 8 in here. That's the 2, that's the 5. That's the remaining digit, which is a 6. That 7, I don't know why I missed that, is a 4, is a 7. The 7 gives me the 5 in here to get to 12, the 8. And I've got 2 more digits, 2, 8, looking at the 7. 4, 7 in here. This is 8, 9. 8 and 9 with 2 and 3 and 4, because that's not a 1. We know it's not the 9. That's the 8. That's the 2. Neither of these are 2 now. That's the 9. That's a 20 cage in 3 cells. I've already placed 17. That's a 3. That's a 4. That's a 6. These are not 6. That's indeed a 3-cell 24 cage. It can only be done in one way, 7, 8, and 9. We know what this cell is. That's a 3, 7, 4. I've got that 8 bouncing back in here, giving me the 2, the 8. I need, actually, no, I don't need. 9, 8, whoops. 8, 9, oh, hang on. What am I missing here? 5 and 7, that's the 7. That's the 5, that's the 7. It's not 5 and 7. Yes, it's 5 and 6. And I don't know anything to disambiguate. So how about I just stop randomly typing, I think. So looking about this fog, it's quite dense, but not a lot necessarily to peek into it other than this X. And if I think about this X, it can't be 1, 9. It's not 2, 8. And it's not 4, 6. It's 3, 7. This 3 tells us the order. That's the 3. That's the 7. And quite a bit of the fog is revealed now. Let's continue thinking about the 10s. So 1, 9 not available again. 2, 8 is. And 3, 7 obviously isn't, and 4, 6 isn't. So it is 2, 8. That 2 tells us the order, but the other part that tells us the order is if I put an 8 in here, in an 8 cage, that would have required a 0. That's a 1, 5 to complete the column. That's a 6 to complete the cage. That's a 5, a 6, a 1, a 5, a 1. I've basically got most of it, haven't I? Well, that's not an 8. That's not a 7. Let's think about this 10 cage now that's in the fog. It's not 2, 8. It's not 3, 7. It could be 4, 6, I'm going to say. Nope, no 6. That's 1, 9. This one tells us the order. That's the 1. That's the 9. Last 10 to just reveal the whole grid for us. Not 1, 9, not 2, 8, not 4, 6. It's 3, 7. 7 tells us the order. 7, 3. Also not a 7 in here. That's got to be the 7. Do we have anything else? That's obvious. Nope, just Sudoku. So we need 5 and 4. 4 tells us that's the 4. That's the 5. 8, 5, 9. 6. I need a 2, which can only be in here. I need a 4, which is in there. I need a 5. And if I've not made any mistakes, that's the 8 and the finish for today's puzzle. It's a highly approachable puzzle, I think, by some of the standards of other puzzles we featured on the channel. So, 15-minute for a solve is, probably on the more approachable side. But thank you very much, Dariome, for the puzzle. I mean, fog puzzles are certainly amongst the favorite of the regular viewers of this channel. And yours was, very much a fog puzzle. Between the fog reveals in here, kind of this single cell that's sort of showing it, and then constantly using the cages to just continuously break into the rest of the fog was just lovely. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's puzzle and today's video, and I'll see you back at the next one. Bye for now.